Hey everyone, welcome back to the English Hour. I'm so glad you're here today because we're going to talk about something that almost every English learner struggles with at some point: remembering words easily. I know how it feels. You learn a new word, you think, yes, I got this, and then a few hours later it's gone. Or you try to speak, and the word that you just studied vanishes completely. It's frustrating, isn't it? But today, I want to show you that remembering words doesn't have to be hard. There are simple strategies that make words stick in your memory naturally, and once you start using them, speaking English becomes so much easier. First, let me tell you a little story. I had a student named Arif who was really motivated to improve his English. He spent hours memorizing lists of words, writing them over and over in his notebook, but whenever he tried to speak, he would blank out. One day I asked him, "How do you remember words?" He told me, "I just repeat them a lot." That's when I realized repetition alone wasn't helping him. The words were floating around in his memory, but they weren't connected anything meaningful. So they didn't stick. That's the first secret. Your brain remembers what it can connect and use, not what it just sees on paper. So, the first strategy to remember words easily is to connect them to something personal or visual. For example, if you're learning the word magnificent, don't just write down the definition. Very beautiful or impressive. Think of something in your own life that is magnificent. Maybe it's a sunset you saw, a concert you attended, or a dish you ate that amazed you. Picture it clearly in your mind and say the word magnificent while imagining that scene. Suddenly, the word isn't abstract anymore. It has meaning, feeling, and memory hooks, and your brain loves that. The second strategy is to use the words immediately. If you learn a word and never speak or write it, your brain thinks, "This isn't important," and forgets it. So after learning magnificent, make a sentence like, "The sunset over the mountains was magnificent," or tell a short story using it. Every time you use a word, you strengthen the memory pathway in your brain. The more you use it, the more permanent it becomes. Another trick is grouping words into themes or stories. Our brains love stories and patterns. For example, if you're learning words like gigantic, huge, enormous, and massive, don't memorize them in isolation. Create a tiny story. Yesterday I saw a gigantic elephant. Its ears were enormous, its feet were massive, and it looked huge standing by the river. Suddenly, the words have a context, a narrative, and a mental picture, and your brain remembers stories far better than isolated words. Repetition is important, but spacing it out is even more effective. This is called spaced repetition. Don't cram all your new words in one night. Review them after a few hours, then the next day, then 3 days later, then a week later. Each time you successfully recall the word, your brain strengthens the memory connection. You can use apps for this, or just a simple notebook system. The key is revisiting words at increasing intervals. Now, let's talk about multi-sensory learning. The more senses you involve, the stronger your memory. Say the word out loud, write it down, listen to how it sounds, and even act it out if possible. For example, if the word is jump, you could mime jumping while saying the word. It might feel silly, but movement, sound, and visual associations make the word stick in your memory far better than reading silently. Another important tip is linking words to emotions or experiences. Words connected to personal feelings are remembered much more easily. For example, the word excited is easier to remember if you think about a time you were truly excited, maybe a birthday, a trip, or a special achievement, and link the word to that memory. Suddenly, your vocabulary becomes personal, memorable, and emotionally rich. Here's another secret: review words in context, not in isolation. Don't just memorize magnificent to very beautiful. Read sentences, articles, or stories where the word appears naturally. When you see it in real life context, your brain learns the nuance, the feeling, and how it's actually used. Contextual learning is why native speakers rarely forget words. They constantly encounter them in meaningful situations. I want to give you a small, daily routine that works wonders. Pick 5 new words every day. Connect each to an image or personal memory. Make a sentence and say it out loud 3 times. The next day, review yesterday's words before learning 5 new ones. By the end of the week, you'll have a strong vocabulary of 35 words, and they'll actually stick in your memory because you've learned them in a meaningful, contextual way. Let me tell you about one of my students, Sarah. She used to struggle with remembering words, but once she started visualizing, using words immediately, and reviewing them regularly, she noticed a huge change. Words started coming naturally when she spoke. She no longer panicked. She no longer forgot halfway through a sentence. Her confidence skyrocketed. And that's what happens when you learn words smartly instead of mechanically. So, to recap, here's how to remember words easily. Connect them to personal experiences or images. Use them immediately in sentences or stories. Group words into meaningful themes. Review them with spaced repetition. Involve multiple senses. Link them to emotions. And always practice them in context. Do this consistently, and words stop being something you memorize temporarily. They become part of your language, part of your thinking, and part of your confidence. Thank you for spending time with me on the English Hour. Start applying these strategies today. Pick a few words and see how your memory improves. Remember, learning English is not about memorizing harder. It's about memorizing smarter. Keep practicing, keep speaking, and soon remembering words will feel effortless. I'll see you in the next episode.